Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the weekly armchair kickoff and episode 1 of a brand new show, Future of Football. I'm Nathan, joined by the big man Mark, the host of this weekly steel chair, the legend that is Reece, and we've got Big Stu. Guys, how are we doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, very well, dude.
I'm especially better being called the big man. So thank you.
You are the big man to me, man. You've got the best beard in the business, and I won't let anyone else say otherwise.
I'll take being called a legend. I'll take being called a legend amongst my greatness, so I'm good.
I'll just take being called anything I will, so I don't care.
There we go.
It's all, although if I did grow a beard, lads, I would absolutely destroy the pair.
Absolutely.
I've decided against it. I've decided against it.
Are you, before we get into it, I was going to say,
why he's not got one.
Yeah, Mark, are you doing last
year?
Not
yet,
you did November, didn't you? You did November last year, didn't you, Mark?
I don't know if I did actually.
Because I remember being really livid that you shaved your beard off anyway. I was not very happy. You definitely did.
I think I did the opposite. Yeah, I can't really remember to be honest. It's so long ago now. Here we are in August.
Yeah, I think you cut the beard off. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get into any more of Mark's beard talk, let's get on with it. So before we get into the show, guys, we are brought to you in partnership with Manchester Mind. Really important all times of year that we look out for people that we haven't heard from or seen. It is so important that we don't let people suffer in silence. Anyone that you haven't heard from or spoken to for a long time, pop them a message, pop them a chat, say, how you doing? Anything you need. Just make sure people don't suffer in silence. It's really important to everyone at the channel that we do make sure we look out for each other. So
Except Stu. Except Stu. He likes divas.
Oh, yeah. I love divas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Reece, we were trying to be professional there. Thanks, mate.
It wouldn't be Reece.
So was I, man.
There we go. So yeah, this is a show idea that I had just before the Euros started, and I had it for a little while before, and I spoke to the powers that be with Keane, etc., and had it, and he said, absolutely, let's get on with it. And I wanted the best I could get. I was going to say I was going to make a joke about getting the best panel for the first show, but actually couldn't really ask for much better. So I really appreciate this, guys, taking your time out on a Friday night.
Well,
so really looking forward to this.
Nate, I see some barrel scraping. If I'm being honest with you, I see a couple of barrel scraping here, but I'll let it go. I'll let it pass.
I'd say in Stu and Reece, sure.
I was gonna. Oh, we're all gonna throw names around each other. I think we're all talking about Reece. Right?
I've got no plans, and I've bought my best editing work of my child that's parked outside. So there you go.
You bought his
best. Get your ears cleaned,
nice. That's nice of you. You did the Freudian slip, mate, not me. So
yes.
I said best, not breast, but I've said breast now.
No, anyway, yes, now it's a bit late.
Episode 1 of the Future of Football show. This is basically a show about talk about the ifs, buts, and maybes about football and getting into the things that are not currently in the news at the moment, but we'll have a good discussion about certain topics. We're going to crack straight on with section 1, and that is the talk and the ideas about Premier League games being played out in the States. Now, we're all, I say, enjoying the pre-season friendlies at the moment out in the States, as soon as the season's over, and they've all been moaning about the fact they've had fixture congestion, and then they all go on holiday to the States for 3 weeks. So we're going to talk about the idea that has been floated around quite a lot, and the idea possibly of them eventually or inevitably they're going to start playing Premier League fixtures over in the States. So there is an argument to be had, but I'm going to start with you, Mark, if that's all right. So your initial thoughts on the idea of regular season matches being played out in the States, just your regular fixtures.
You know what? It doesn't really sit right with me, but I don't think there's anything that we can really do about it. And I think fundamentally, we look across the board at the NFL, the NBA, it's all kind of moving about. Even wrestling recently, there's been talks. Obviously, Triple H was over in London, wasn't he? It's a difficult one. I understand why they do it. Obviously, it is a money maker. I think what it does take away is from us fans, us match goers that like to go to the games. We don't then have the opportunity, or it might be that it then pushes fans back here to potentially pay to go over there, which obviously is nice little holiday for us, but obviously it's expensive. We're in a credit crisis, very difficult to kind of do these things. And like I said, I get it, and there's nothing we can do about it. But that is my kind of 2 pence on it, really. I think there's some positives for it. I think there's some negatives, like there isn't anything But I guess I don't know. It's almost like a major brand now, isn't it? And they're trying to sort of, create some sort of extra fan base abroad, for the Premier League, for the football teams. But I think it takes that kind of, that grassroots football type feel away from it, is my opinion on it anyway.
No, actually, Mark, I really appreciate you mentioning the word brand, because I was actually going to ask you, Reece, is it so the argument that the NFL had when bringing games over to the UK is that they were boosting the league and boosting the brand. Is it necessary for the Premier League to boost the league? Because I'll read you a quick stat. So this is the years 2018 to 2019 season. There was 188 of the world's 193 countries had the Premier League shown. Now I'm going to ask you, Reece, can you name the 5 countries that didn't show the Premier League in the 2018-2019 season? I'll throw it out to all of you. You can all name a country out.
I would be surprised if the US isn't on that list. I'll be very surprised if they're not on that list, because they've been showing games for years. So if they're on that list, if they're not, I'll be very shocked.
I bet there's going to be some trick ones there, isn't there?
I'll go a wild guess. I'll say one of them is China.
No, China does show the Premier League.
Okay, so that's interesting. Go on then. That's Do
you want to throw a name out there, Stu? Do you want to throw a country out there?
Yeah, I would think probably somewhere like Canada. Maybe
Canada shows the games.
Does it?
Yeah, Canada's, because like Tim, obviously he watches the games over there.
Oh well, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Vietnam.
No, they show it.
You're joking.
I'll put you all out your misery. So the 5 is Afghanistan, Moldova, Turkmenistan, North Korea, and Cuba. They're the only 5 countries in the world that don't show the Premier League.
Wow.
See, one of those countries makes no sense to me, and that's Moldova. You've got Moldovans that actually play in the Premier League. So why wouldn't you show it? That I find weird. Like, obviously, there's no North Koreans in the Premier League, but that's for unfortunate dictatorial reasons. But,
absolutely. So so that's the question is that does the Premier League need to boost the brand, considering how much of a global outreach they have? Because that was the argument that the NFL had bringing it over here. So what would you say it's needed?
I'd say yes and no. I'd say yes in the terms of you've got for example, like Serie A, the Italian Super Cup is played in Doha. It's been over in Doha for past 4 or 5 years. So you've got that. You've got the Spanish Super Cup is now being played in other countries as well because of the market and availability and the funding they will get from that. The problem is, though, when Mark's right, it's fans that are affected. Now, end of the day, we are legacy fans. And that means fuck all in 2024. Like, if you actually think about it, it means fuck all, because if it meant something, the Super League would never have happened. Or even the talks of the Super League would never have happened, So, because that's where you're taking away. This is basically trying to affect the casual fan network, is trying to get more engagement with casual fans, because then the casual fans will bring in a lot more money because they'll just spend on random shit. And that's what you want. You want your merch to be sold. You want your merch to be sold. Your hardcore fans are going to buy, but casual fans they've got no allegiance to any of these football clubs. So they're just going to pick up whatever they see. And it'll be like, whatever they see firsthand, they're going to spend like 50, 60 quid on the football shirt. Or they're going to spend all that on a track shirt. You know what I mean?
Just really quickly, Reece, sorry to interrupt, buddy.
By all means.
You make a great point there, and I forgot to say it is a massive gateway, I feel, to the European Super League again. You know what I mean? I feel like that they weren't able to get that. They weren't able to kind of for that to materialize. Hang on a minute. How are we going to think about other routes of getting in there? Tell you what, let's put it in other countries. Let's try and create a bit of hysteria there. Oh, look, guys, this is working for us. This you know what I mean? And I really feel like that could be a massive gateway for that kind of thing.
And they'll welcome it with these, because these fans will get to watch MLS, and I feel sorry for them already. So they'll want to watch proper football. It's not saying the MLS isn't, but when you look at it compared to the European game, it's still decades behind. It's getting better, MLS. I'll give the MLS credit. Like, they are investing so much money into the system and trying to make it better, but it's still not on the level of European football. So if you're getting European games of any league over there, you're getting massive media attention. You're getting money draped in from these clubs alone because the names that they've got in their squads, fans will be aching to get on the back of their shirts. Any opportunity you can get, the money will grow. But it's the fans who are being affected. I've not watched any of the preseason games for the States because it's in the States and it's at like 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm watching other things at that time. But even so, like the standard, the quality over there, do any of us here really care? Like, Phoenix, I'm watching the other preseason games, that's fine. I'll watch the Liverpool game because we'll pump them. But apart from that, like, it's the bog standard equivalent of I'd rather just watch preseason games over here. Like, it's easier, it's much more time frame, and American preseason tournaments for us never goes well. But in terms of the brand, 100%, it's to maximize it because right now, Serie A, La Liga, Liga and bog standard, the Bundesliga, they're all taking any opportunity they can get across global markets to get any more money they can build, to generate, so they can refurb it back into the leagues they've got. So the Premier League, by all means, from a business perspective, go ahead and do it. Like, they should be encouraged to do this. But from a genuine fan perspective and the game itself that it was actually for, it should remain in the English game. If you want to play American teams, just have a massive like European versus American like one-off friendly every summer. I wouldn't mind that. I actually would not mind that at all. Like either North or South America mixed in versus a European 11, and you have that and all just raise money and all proceeds go. But this is basically just bog standard equivalent for the Super League, and it's opportunity. They will take it, and I would not be surprised if the club we support will still have an involvement in that, unfortunately, plus other clubs that are actually actively looking at this market, because the likes of Chelsea, sorry, I haven't bet your club shit, but you're looking at that. They have got investment in America. Man City have got some form of investment. They will still look to make themselves name worthy in the States.
New York, whatever.
New York,
called.
yeah. New York City, yeah. Liverpool, FSG, big. Arsenal are owned by Stan Kroenke, massive in the NFL scene.
It's funny, isn't it, how all of these have a very common denominator in this.
American owners.
American ownership, or, mad.
Massively. And the market, the biggest market we all know in the world is America. Like, the amount of money that America makes, the market, it's the only one that comes close is like China. So in terms of it makes sense for them to go and get it. Like, it does. It makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It didn't go there. It went, but it has gone abroad though. That's what I'm saying. Like, not the Copa del Rey, the final, like the Super Cup finals went there. The problem is though, is the money. Like, that's what they're going to get. They'll look at the money, but they won't look at the main issue. And that's the people that actually want to invest their time into these games. Because let's be real, are you just going to go and spend, I don't know, what, 500-600 quid, maybe if you're lucky, for a weekend in the States just to watch Man United Liverpool? Me personally, I wouldn't.
Well,
like, I would not spend.
I was going to throw that question at you actually. As match going fans go, you've been a season ticket holder since God was a kid, and you've seen every game that you could possibly imagine. As a season ticket holder, match going fan, could you imagine that the people that you go to games with and the people that you see at matches, are they going to be able to splash this cash out and go and follow the team over in the States? Or
yeah, well, you see, that's the irony of this, because us legacy fans, and we are legacy fans. I was on a show 2 years ago. Marc will tell you this because he's on the same show with me. And I made a point that people of my age, Manchester United, aren't interested anymore. They're interested in my son. They're interested in the FIFA edition. 24 hours later, somebody, was it the sports minister, Marc, all comes out and starts speaking exactly the same tones that I was talking about. But yet, when this 39th game, because it can't be a 38th game, it can't be a regular season game. You'd never get away with it. It has to be a 39th game. So there's only points involved on it. They can't even add points on it. So it becomes a meaningless friendly. But when you talk about the 39th game, then the whole roles reverse, and they want legacy fans back, because the legacy fans will have the disposable income to pop over to the States for 2 days. No problem. It's $2,000. So you just go into your bank, pick it out, and away you go. Whereas Reece's age, no, he's saving up for a house. he's doing this, he's doing that, and he can't afford $2,000 just to pop over to the States to do that. But here's the interesting thing about it. If you were to do a straw poll of the 300 million Americans, or however many people are in America, they would tell you you're probably looking at a 2% pair of eyes. 2% have got the eyes on the Premier League. The rest haven't. The rest don't give a fuck.
I agree with this. Just very quickly, Stu. I talk to a lot of customers and colleagues and stuff in the US, and I try to small talk all this, try and talk to them about football and stuff. And I can honestly say, hand on heart, there are some die-hard United fans.
Of course,
probably because there's relation to the Glazers, perhaps maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that kind of thing.
Oh,
but they just go crazy for the venue and the moment. It's not about United really, and like Stu said, it is very little of the States that actually care that much about United. So it's purely a profitable thing. Anyway, sorry, Stu.
Yeah, it's
the same with their own game. So I don't mean to cut that. It's the same with their own game, because I've got the same thing, Mark. I try to have the same conversation. So I try to prove them that the NFL is not as good as Premier League football, but I'll probably never win that argument with them, because again, it's their sport. But it's the exact same thing, and I'm like, well, fair enough, but it's, as you say, it's all about the spectacle. I mean, you've got games that mean nothing. They've got a halftime special, and I'm like, who gives a fuck about Madonna singing a song for 30 minutes when all you want to do is watch the game? They done it for the Copa America final. I was like, let me watch the football. I do not want to watch this.
Depends on the song. Depends on the
song.
I
know, but therein lies the problem. And to be brutally honest with you, fellas, most Premier League players, Fulham, Aston Villa, Wolves, they can walk around in the States, no problem. There are other countries in the world where you can't. You can't in China, you can't in Saudi Arabia, etc., etc. And so, they'll get paid a lot of money to do it. And then the other thing about it is there'll be the commercial aspect of it from the UK. So Manchester United will probably open up Old Trafford or wherever we are at that particular time, and they'll sell tickets for fans to go in and buy tickets. Then you've got Sky Sports will start doing pay-per-view on it, or you have to buy MUTV, or you've got to buy TNT pay-per-view, because they'll open up pay-per-view eventually for football, and it's going to happen. So the only way into pay-per-view will be the 39th game. These owners, the Premier League, they think fans are dumb, but we're not. We're always at one step ahead of the game. We always know what's going to happen. And the other reason, and you make sure you made a point about the European Super League, and that's actually the critical point about the whole of this. There's nowhere in a million years the Champions League or the Europa League or the Europa Conference will play a match outside of Europe. They can't do it. They have to totally rename the competition. So it has to be a drag. Let's get you in. Let's come and play Manchester City and Manchester United, and that's the key. They won't be interested in Manchester United, Fulham.
No,
they won't be interested in Wolverhampton Wanderers, Bournemouth.
Yeah,
they're interested in Manchester United, Manchester City. They'll be interested in Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea. So there's only really 6 clubs that have got the pull that can go out into America and actually not fill a stadium, but do something with a stadium.
Unfortunately, I'd add in Newcastle to that list as well, because of the bankroll they've got.
Yeah, and then they'll go out and they'll get David Beckham to promote it out in the States. They'll get Zinedine Zidane to promote out in the States. They'll do this and they'll do that, and it all
becomes a bit of a circus, doesn't it? You eventually,
if he promotes, I'm flying already. That's game over. All right, it's game over at that point.
But that's what will happen. There'll be the razzmatazz of, come and play it into Miami Stadium, Manchester United, David Beckham into Miami. It's so simple. Boston Red Sox, as Reece said, with Liverpool. I don't know the Chelsea owners. They've got sports interest out there as well. So
I don't know who they've got. I don't know what Bowley's got, but Kroenke's is huge as well.
Yeah, and so you've got to look at everything that they'll look at it from a financial point of view. So it's very strange. I can't see it happening in the short term.
Because
I can't see it happening in the short term.
To be fair.
I was going to say, actually, Tottenham are going to, if you put a Tottenham game in the States, there is an element of there might be a bit of interest because of the American connection with because they've got a big American connection with the NFL now.
I actually think Fulham as well would be, because they have got an American owner. They have got an American owner, so I think Fulham would, to be fair.
But you're not really going to be interested in Fulham versus Wolves.
No, I was going to bring that out, because there is an argument to say
in America. So the top 6 play each other, or the top 8, whoever you want, and then everything else is it's kind of irrelevant. Yeah, it's an irrelevance. I mean, poor Ipswich Town. Well, you've got to pay your 39th game in the States. The money it'll take for Ipswich to go out there with 0% following. 0% following in America. And the other thing is, where do you play it? Do you put it on the LA coast, Florida, heat wave, arenas? Do you play them out in the Dakotas, on the Canadian border? Where do you play in the Midwest? Do you put them in New York?
And also as well, you look at home and away, and that whole thing about being at home and having a bit of a sort of an upper hand, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? How do you then determine for the clubs who gets what? Do you know what I mean? Because I know damn well, if I was a United fan, taking all the the branding and everything aside, if I was playing City at their ground and then playing in the States for our home game, I'd be pissed off. You know what I mean?
Oh, the tickets to the UK will be marginal. Ticket sales in the UK will be marginal, because everything will be allocated to the American fans, and that's what I mean. If you did that in the UK for Fulham against Wolves, it would never happen. It just won't happen. I don't care what anyone says. It just won't. It won't happen.
I think the element as well that's the other element that's the key is definitely location. And for me, realistically, there's only 3 places you play in these American games. New York, because it's obviously it's the New York for the luxury, LA for the heat. The other one for me is I was going to say Miami, but I was also thinking about Texas, because Texas is
it's going to be your big
Texas is
capital cities, isn't it? Because you're not going to be able to put
Texas
these down.
but they're not very.
It wouldn't surprise me. I know, but it wouldn't surprise me if you saw them play games like the Astrodome, because that fits like 65, 70,000 people. That would literally jam pack. You've got Austin as well, has got 100,000 seater stadiums. Like, they would, and they're purpose built for NFL. They would just jam them in. Like, they would jam them in. They wouldn't care. Like, it would make them money.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see it happening in the short term. It's a long term thing, but
it's not going to happen.
I wanted you to be able to jump back to this one if we can, because she makes a great point, and good evening to you as well. There is an argument to be had here that if the Premier League decide that this is the way they want to go down, then why, if they're not going to show Premier League fixtures, it might be worth going down this avenue of having friendlies and boosting the MLS, for an example. If it could work in both avenues, if you see what I mean. If the Premier League don't need boosting, you could boost the MLS, and they could.
That would be a lot better.
You could imagine that sort of thing happening. Every Premier League club gets matched up with an MLS side. What would you say to that?
Yeah, but what you're doing then is, back in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s, you were playing your game, then you were fucking off to do an end of season tour, not a pre-season tour, an end of season tour. That got stopped because of the European Championships, the way the game was, the World Cup, the World Club Cup. You just couldn't fit it in with everything else that was going on.
Yeah.
Things went on an end of season tour. What is the point of going on an end of season tour to fly over to I don't know, Miami to pay into Miami?
I think this.
Don't forget their team their season starts January, February time, or March, something like that. So what's the fucking point? Yeah. It's absolutely it's pointless.
And also, you're highly unlikely to get the players you want anyway, because obviously these players will still go out and play like the Copa America and stuff as well. And they'll choose their countries regardless. So that's another thing. You've also got the added thing of, like, train of thought there, but like when you think about the players that actually go over there as well, I think they're basing this off what happened with Santos in the late 50s and the 60s when Brazil won the World Cup for the first time. They went nuts for Santos because of Brazil and Pele. Yeah. And I think what they're doing is they're trying to globalize the market in any way they can. and they want to get as much people over there based on the fact is back then Pele was the most recognisable player. Now you've got players across every single club in the Premier League who are recognisable, who are followed, who are stand beyond relief on social media because the echo chamber is a psychopath. But these players will generate money like that, and that's exactly what they're going to get. The minute they get the money, that's it. Like, it doesn't make a difference what we say in that element. But if they do it, they'll lose fans either way because we'll still have to suffer the 3 p.m. blackouts. And we'll still be watching them at fucking like 4 o'clock in the morning and want to shoot ourselves.
One other thing as well, and we've already seen it this pre-season. We know how their pitches are. Right?
Injuries.
And our injuries. That's crippled us already at the beginning of the season. We're kind of panicking a little bit. And you'll see that so much. And for me, that's another deterrent, I think, as well. You've got to think about these players. And I don't care what anyone says. Don't give a shit how much they earn. The people, the human beings. And you've also got to think about the massive impact that we'll have on them as people.
Yeah,
it's like you said earlier on, Mark. You build networks, you build communications with people. Like our jobs. Like if we're physically unable to do our jobs, we're pretty much out of a job for a while until we're physically able to compete. Or we're not physically able to compete, but those guys are physically able to compete. When you look at it as well, like, yeah, it is a job. They get paid a shitload of money, but they've got families to provide for, regardless of the money they're on. Like they've got all this to do. They might still get paid, but they're not going to feel like they're earning it. They're going to lose that sort of moral sense themselves. They're going to lose any sense of, we'll just get back to it. They're going to hate this just as much as anyone else would. Name me any Premier League footballer that would actually like to go and do this. Because I can't think of any. None.
No, there does seem to be, there is an element of, with the growing number of American owners we have over here now, even in the EFL as well, there was talks during the Euros of Birmingham City writing to the Football League to potentially put their fixture against Wrexham over in the States. And it would make sense. But again, I can't imagine there being much of a pull for that. The only reason the Wrexham have got the following that they've got is through their Disney Plus and they're American superstar owners. But,
literally,
it is literally that it. And I'll be honest, I saw Deadpool versus Wolverine today and it was fucking unbelievable. So anyone that's into that shit, I would recommend it.
Oh, it's the greatest film opening of all time.
Oh, amazing.
You know what I actually think will happen if this dare goes ahead? I think the government will finally get involved. I think the government will actually put a stop to this.
There'll be I can imagine.
I think they will. I think it to the point, because we all know the government's corrupt anyway. But it's this point where they will not want the game to go overseas. They generally will.
There's an argument to be had because obviously with the football regulator supposedly going to be starting up soon under the new government. There's a case to be had that if this is an opportunity for them to get involved in something like that, and them to say, no, this is our league, our game. We're making the money off of it. We're not having it dart over to overseas and making your money off of it over there. You can imagine.
That's exactly.
We had that discussion earlier with Stu. There's an element of
it'll mean nothing.
It will mean nothing, and like Stu said, it'll be a 39th game that won't be included in your yearly price.
No chance.
I believe that's Keen in the comments. I think it's a really good point. Not even thought about. Yeah, you're right.
No, because the other avenue I was going to go down is like Stu mentioned, the 39th game. But is there an argument to be had, or going with the if buts and maybes of football? Would you have it as a group of fixtures? So you'd have a weekend in the football calendar year that would all be played. For example, let's say the Boxing Day weekend. Let's say everyone over here is stuffing their faces with turkey and doing whatever over the Boxing Day weekend and the Christmas weekend. Is there an argument to be had about sending all those games out to the States for that weekend and having them played as they would over here, 12:30, 3 o'clock, but obviously with the time difference? Do you see what I'm getting at for that?
No,
I think strangely, there's only one time I would actually be okay with these games being over there, if it's the first game of the season. For me, if it's the first game of the season and it's over there, because that means they've already done their preseason tour in America. If it's clubs that go over to America, for example, in those areas, they've already went over. They're already training there. Just play the first game and then just get the bastards straight back over. That's the only time I would actually accept this. I
But
wouldn't
you couldn't-
accept it
you
any other
couldn't
point in
do
the season.
it. You couldn't do
It
it.
won't happen. It won't happen.
You-
Like,
you-
There's
you
also,
never-
there's
it's not even-
also there's also an
you
element
never
of
get away with it.
no,
It's not
there's
gonna
also
happen
an element
anyway,
of
like, it's-
season ticket holders and match going fans have been desperate to get back to their weekend routines throughout the summer.
No, I
already.
agree. I
If you
agree.
lost
It's not
that
going to
first
happen
game
anyway.
of the season, no, I know this is the whole idea of the show.
But that's the only time I can generally see it happen. If it was the very first game of the season, you get over and done with. But it'll never get put through. It'll never happen anyway. But I'm surprised it's actually become such a thing.
I don't mind being told it's a terrible idea. It's the whole point of the show. It's the whole point of opinions. We love it. I love you guys getting involved. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to have a little vote with you guys now. So it all sounds like we're all on the same idea, but who's in favour and who's not in favour? In favour, say yay. No. See, all those not in
Nay.
favour say
Nay.
no. There we go.
No.
Nay.
Absolutely. Couldn't
No.
agree more. We're all on the same page. Love it. Let's move on to the second section. Now, with the price of football going up, you've got the element of match going fans having to pay extra on the match days. You've got the incredible amount of different channels you've now got to pay for. You've got TNT, you've got Sky, you've now got Amazon Prime. You've eventually going to have other avenues to watch it on. And as Stu mentioned earlier, there's going to be pay-per-view matches for these big games in the league. There have been talks of, not exactly talks in the league, but more rumours spreading around of the idea of a Premier League streaming service. The ideas have been floated around and thrown around a few years ago where they would bring out Premflix, the Netflix of Premier League football, as a way of getting all the games in one streamable content, one streamable place, and charging one monthly fee to do so. I'm going to throw it straight to you, Reece, because you're the one that's itching to get involved in this. Would the idea of a standalone Premier League streaming platform would be something you're interested in, or is it not something you could imagine?
No, because I'm in a group chat with fucking Marc. He just spoiled the scores within 2 seconds. No, that's a genuine.
But
compliment to
also
Marc.
provides very, very good updates every day. So
Reliable.
All right.
Reliable transfer stories, we love it.
All right,
Mr. Reliable.
Have your ego stretched for 2 minutes, Marc. But no, in general circumstance, no. Because when you look at it, the one issue with streaming is, yeah, you can pay for it. Yes, streaming is fun. There's no breaks, none of that rubbish. Immediately, you're still behind. Like, we enjoy games watching on Amazon. I like watching the games at Christmas on Amazon. The problem is you're still a couple of minutes behind. It's already ruined. Like, there's no point. Like, there's generally just no point. And besides, why would, like, for me, there's no need to, because it's already ruined, because people already spoil shit anyway. So
Yeah,
I'm not for it.
there's an avenue you to go down that route, but if you look at it from the other side of it, of affordability, if we're all
I see
having
the
to
expense though.
I know there's a lot of people. We won't be naming names, but there's a lot of people that have the dodgy sticks and stuff, so they can watch whatever the fuck they want. We're not going to throw any names out there or do anything like that. But
not me.
If
Not
you've got,
me.
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know anyone on this panel with that. But to be fair, the only way that could
There's an
only positive for
affordability
it,
argument, isn't there? Really, is if you were going to make it
It
one
is.
monthly charge rather than having 3 or 4 different subscriptions to something else.
Will
And
they
having
at
a
least
Premier League
accommodate?
manage it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, will they at least accommodate the one thing that we don't get though? Will they at least allow this opportunity for 3 p.m. games? Because that never seems to come around, and nobody gets to watch them. Would they, if they did bring out a streaming service though, would the 3 p.m. games that aren't generally shown, would they actually be shown on TV? Because if
That's an
so,
excellent point.
that would
Reece,
be an
because
enjoyment.
That was
I
my
can see
next
the argument
question
for
to
that.
Marc. Marc, that was going to be my next question to you, sir. Is that there has been arguments and talks about the idea of 3 p.m. blackout being removed and games being shown. So you'd have all the games on a Saturday, all the games on a Sunday, and Friday and Mondays. Is there an element of what's the word? Like old-fashioned. What's the word? Old-fashioned. You know, the sentimentality around the 3 p.m. Do you enjoy that side of it, or is there a case of it's a bit outdated now? Should we be able to see these games?
Yeah, I think it's a bit outdated. I think there was a few reasons why they did it, but I think it's a bit outdated. And look, I think the streaming service for me, I think is great, a good idea. It doesn't affect us. We pay 1 monthly fee. We can watch whatever the fuck games we want, and I think it brings it all back. And then you get rid of the argument of if you're at a 3 o'clock kickoff game, you can't watch it. and it is frustrating, you know, particularly if your own
Yeah.
team's on. And, you know, the Premier League are talking about making money. The Premier League about talking about taking it to, you know, America or whoever else. This is a prime opportunity for them to make some money, because you're going to attract so many
That's a
more
good point.
people that are going to want to pay for it. You
That's
know,
true.
you can watch whatever game you want. You've got all of the different ones to select. Let me watch this one today. Watch it at 5:30, 3 p.m., 12:45, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. I think, and I think fundamentally, and it does boil down to this as well. I think from the cost perspective, I think it's massive. You know, we're all paying for Amazon, we're all paying for Netflix, we're all paying for
That's
everything
true.
else. It's expensive, man, and no wonder everyone's going to illegally stream it. Because
Absolutely.
you can't. So this is a prime opportunity to go, right, we need to catch up, guys. Yeah, we need to think about something that's going to draw these people in, catch up with everyone else, stop everyone else illegally broadcasting it and making money. Yeah, and you can't blame them for it, and they're putting people away for 30 plus years over other really disgusting things, and it's
I
it's a
agree.
joke. It's a joke.
I don't mean to cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off, Mark, but I think Vicky makes a great point when she mentions the pyramid and the lower leagues. You mentioned there about cost and a great opportunity. This would be a good way for football fans that watch the Premier League exclusively to at least watch games that aren't seen a lot on like TV. Like you can watch more like League One, League Two. Like pique your interest. You can watch more of the Championship as well. Like if it was aimed on that as well as just the Premier League, then you've really got something there. Like the opportunity is right. It's just will they do it right? Fuck knows. But TV is massive, and the money that's pumped in, like if you can make the most of that, then I can see a positive.
Yeah.
It's not something maybe I would particularly use, but I can see the reason, and I agree with Mark in that way. Like I do agree. If they went for the whole Football League pyramid, though, you've arguably got one of the best streaming services on the planet. Especially if it's just from sports based from football, you've got that straight away.
There's the whole point, Stu, is that when they bought the 3 p.m. blackouts originally, as far as I can work out, it was affecting stadium attendances. But the argument to be had is live. If you're going to go and watch a live football match, you're going to enjoy it in person. If you want to watch it on telly, you'll watch it on telly. So there is an argument to be had that there is definitely an argument for the 3 p.m.s just to be scrapped when live is live. You know what I mean?
So look, a few things really about this whole issue. First of all, you'll get a shitload of litigation from Sky, BT, Amazon, the lot. Secondly, you're not going to be paying $9.99 a month because the Premier League have got to get 5 billion, maybe 6 billion back in off you, me, and everybody else, because that's what Sky, BT, and everyone else pay. 6 billion fucking quid.
They'll get that easy though.
Just think about that, 6 billion quid, and it won't be that easy. No, it won't. You're not going to see a DAZN subscription of $9.99 or anything like that, because it just won't work. So you're still going to be paying 50, 60, 70 pounds a month just to stream on the Premier League. You're going to be, but you're going to get huge litigation because Sky TV, their revenue is going to drop by 30, 40%. Same with BT. This is why they bid so much money for these. So you're going to see all these revenue drop, and so they'll just sue the Premier League for loss of revenue. We've given you, Sky TV's probably pays, what do you reckon, 25 bill?
It's a fact.
Maybe more. Maybe 30
this is also
bill.
A fact.
Maybe 30 billion over the period that they've shown the Premier League. How long have they shown it for, Mark? 25 years?
With Sky?
1993, wasn't it?
Sky 92, 93, yeah.
Yeah, so they've spent billions, and there's no way in a million years they'll allow that to happen. BT haven't spent as much, but they've still spent billions. Amazon haven't quite yet spent hardly anything. So you're going to have all that major issue straight away. So it's all right. Honestly, it's okay. People saying, yeah, let's do it. But you're going to have to sit it alongside somewhere. You're going to have to work with the major stakeholders in football. And then if Sky Sports, is wiped out, if Sky Sports gone and they've lost 30, 40% of the revenue, the clubs won't be getting anywhere near the type of prize money until the Premier League streaming service catches up. So you've got this whole financial, ecological black hole, which will happen. Now, if you were to do it at £25 a month, £24.99 a month, then the fuckers, I guarantee the Premier League start doing pay-per-view, because they get somebody like fucking Eddie Hearn involved, or anything like that. And that's what it will be. It'll be pay-per-view. Sky can't afford to lose it. They can't. Their business model is not predominantly set for it, but it's hugely weighed in favour of Premier League football. BT's isn't so bad, because obviously they've got MotoGP, etc., etc., etc. So they can.
They've got Serie A as well, and they've got other combat sports as well.
But they've lost the wrestling now, haven't they?
No, they've got TNT. They've got TNT.
Oh, they still have the wrestling, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sky doesn't have it. Yes, Sky used to have it.
And it's going. Isn't it going to Netflix? So
So in
it's
2025,
it's going to Netflix in January. It's going to Netflix in January.
So I don't know enough about the WWE, so
you're still going to get on TNT. You'll still get on TNT, but you'll still have the option of Netflix as well.
Today's your main problem. So if the Premier League do it, they're going to have to come up with a $49.99 plan, or a $59.99 plan, or a $69.99 plan, or, as Vicky said in one of her earlier messages, just charge $9.99 for a 3 p.m. kickoff if you want to watch it. Now, back in the day, Sky used to have what they used to call a season ticket. So if you didn't want to watch the whole of Sky Sports, you would buy this season ticket, or you could pay
similar to Now TV with it.
Yeah, £5 a game, I think it was. It's now £12 a game, and you do it that way. I think you buy it through Now TV. So look, it just isn't physically viable. And the clubs will know this. The clubs will know all this already, because for the Premier League to set up a streaming service, it's a piece of piss. They just get Eddie Hearn. Honestly, they would. They just get Eddie Hearn or somebody like him and say, right, here's this amount of money. What can you do? But Eddie Hearn or somebody's already told them and say, you'll be wrapped up in litigation for years and years and years.
So the conversations that were had a couple of years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, they were very muted conversations, because it didn't get very far as I could work out in my research. There was a rumor doing the rounds that there was a $5 billion deal done with Netflix. It didn't get very far, because I think like Stu mentioned, they didn't get further enough before they could realize they were going to get wrapped up in legal situations with Sky and TNT. But there's got to be a point where the Premier League have got to start taking it into their own hands. But if we remove the idea of people chasing their money like Sky and TNT and stuff like that, if we were going down that route, surely if the Premier League had a bit of ball and a bit of bottle and said, you know what, this is our league, we want to show it. If the 20 clubs agree to it and they go onto this sort of streaming service, surely from the match watching fan, not so much the match going fan, because they're going to go and watch it live no matter what. For us that aren't able to go to the games, like Reece, who lives above the border and stuff like that, can't make it to the games all the time, there is an element of it would be more useful to us as a watching fan. Do you see what I mean?
I think the power is very much in the Premier League's hands. All of these things are run by contracts. I appreciate there's other legalities and other things that come into play. But fundamentally, when these contracts run out, right, say, fuck yeah, Sky, I'm going to go and talk to Netflix. Do you know what I mean? It can be done. It has been done. It can be done. I appreciate it's not easy, Stu, but it's definitely much in the Premier League's hand. And fundamentally, they throw these things out all the time. They have to get at least the majority of clubs to agree.
You've got to tender it. Yeah, you've got to tender it. The other thing is, guys, don't forget, the Premier League clubs are looking at a guaranteed income of 100 million as opposed to a non-guaranteed income of 100 million, because they don't know what's going to happen outside of Sky. That's the only reason why Amazon haven't got it. They're looking to see where Amazon are and what they can do with it, how they've been over the last 2 to 3 years. And they've done okay, Amazon. The first season was awful, if you remember. It was fucking terrible. Terrible coverage, terrible links. They couldn't quite get it right. And so Mark's right, but you've got to you have to. The problem with the Premier League is they've got to put it out to tender. You can't just go to Netflix and say, give me $6 billion. You've got to put it out to tender, because Amazon might knock on the door and say, well, if they're giving you 6, we'll give you 8.
Well, yeah, but that again, it still means that the Premier League have got the power, because that's what you do. Contracts come to an end. You go, right, who's going to offer me the most?
Yeah,
Who's
then
going
you've
to
got
offer
to
me the
trust.
most?
It's
And
the
I can
most
still
valuable
give-
league in the world currently.
It is.
It still is.
Look at what Eddie Hearn did in boxing for Sky. He's doing okay with his own, but he's not knocking out of the park with his own. And Sky haven't recovered with the boxing since Eddie Hearn's gone, and it's affected both parties really. Sky will not recover from losing the Premier League, and they won't let that happen.
No, you will see them just ump their value. But the thing as well, like year on year, you're seeing increase in revenues for streaming. For example, so like Netflix that last year alone was $33 billion. Like
Yeah,
they
it's
are,
fine.
the 6% increase. Like they are raking in money right now. It's going to be another projection of about 8-9%. So that's what, like $37 billion potentially this year for Netflix. You've got Paramount Plus who are kicking in right now as well. Like they are kicking on fast, Paramount Plus, and they're actually quite good. Disney Plus as well. They'll look to bring in TV as well. They're looking at their own things. They're raking in money, funded by the evils as Disney. They'll do all that. You've got Amazon, owned by a clown, but still makes huge amount of money. You will get that. The impact at the end of the day is what you're going to get from the end of the day. The main consumer is the fan, and if it doesn't work to what they want, it won't go ahead. It's all about the advertising is just as big as the fundamental part of cost. If you can't advertise it, forget the fact how much it's going to be a month. If you can't advertise it strongly, it's going to be a flop, and that's the prime end of the day.
No, absolutely. So we've got a bit of a mixture of opinion there. So I'm going to do another vote. Who's those in favour of a streaming platform for the Premier League?
Yep. Me.
Who those not in favour?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Bit straight down the middle. I love it. Exactly what this show is all about. Right, let's have a bit more of a relaxed chat, bit more of a chill out. We're going to do something a bit more fun now. We've been looking at the future of football. Let's now go back in time and look at what's happened in the past. So I'm going to get you to choose your own mode of transportation that travel back in the time. The only time machine I won't accept is hot tub time machine. I'll accept DeLorean. I'll accept TARDIS. Any other mode of transport except for hot tub, I'm afraid. So I'm going to ask you, Mark, straight off the bat. I want you to give me your one moment in football history, anything that could possibly have happened that you could jump in your time machine and go back and experience in person, please.
Yep. The 99 Champions League final again for me. Obviously very, very biased. But it's one of my big moments as a kid. I think I was about 9. I was in my living room, can remember it vividly. I remember doing cartwheels and all sorts, as kids do, taking the piss a bit. And unfortunately, I know Stu got to the game to that, so I'm sure he'll tell you a little bit more. And I would love to have been there, but of course I was only young.
I think we've all seen the clips hundreds of millions of times over. But that's true. You have to tell us. You've probably told us a million times before, but what that moment in person? Seriously, what was it like? We're going to hear it again.
Well, if you've ever been to the Marc's the oldest on the bell. If you've ever been to the new camp, I nearly fell 3 or 4 rows down because everybody was going fucking nuts. But I was also hugely inebriated at the time as well, with having a few beers. But that moment, you could almost actually from where we were kind of like we were the opposite end of it, and I have to say, because we just grabbed tickets. To be honest, we just grabbed tickets while we were out there, so we weren't in with the main fans. When that cross came in, and you just watched Solskjaer's little bit of movement, just tiny bit of movement, just as soon as the flick of the header was there, he kind of leant back slightly and put it into the net, and everybody just went fucking nuts. Nobody could quite believe actually what had happened. To be honest, in the stadium, we all knew a goal had been scored. And everybody was going fucking nuts, and then people were just looking at each other. What the fuck's just happened? I mean, a lot of the Munich fans who we were mixed in with at the time just were fucking just bewildered. And fans were a little bit of both, and it's unusual to be bewildered at a football match, really, because you're kind of wrapped up in what's happening. But everybody at one point, as soon as it had gone in. I don't know whether you remember, but I don't know if you heard at the time, there wasn't this huge roar immediately. And then all of a sudden, the enormity of what had happened, and the stadium just fucking erupted. It was like a firework inside, and you were almost burned alive by sweat and fucking.
Sounds horrific.
Yeah, sweat and fucking alcohol.
Do you know what other one actually I'd like to have been there, or at least a fly on the wall? The Chelsea takeover. And how and how much of a shit show it's been since, to be honest. Yeah, I'd like to have seen the conversations between Bowley and all those other fucking idiots, but there you go.
Yeah. So for me,
what he really means is he would go back in time and take Sean Maroney with him.
Well, you'd want to be in the room when Abramovich was told you've got to sell the club.
As well. Yeah,
You'd want to be in the room.
I'd take Evan and his chicken wing arms, and I'd say, "Come on, Evan, lad, we'll go."
So we're throwing Evan into the time paradox on the way.
He knows I love. Evan knows I love him.
Chicken wing arms.
He knows I love him.
I'm going to clip
That's making TikTok.
That is.
I didn't realise he was a lacrosse player. I think he's a lacrosse player. I think he got a lacrosse thing. Yeah, so fair play to him. So he's obviously got some. He's got some arms.
What one arm is chicken wing?
Yeah, the other isn't. But what I would say
that's
for
his
me,
group chat nickname getting changed.
No, he's all right. I mentioned it to him the other day. He's all right now, Evan. I did say to him that I should have put my vest on and shown the physique, but I thought I better not, because if Marc comes on as well, and I've got no fucking chance, so he'd beat me.
You're damn fucking right.
Yeah, here he goes, the big Caesar way. That's what I like to hear. Mine, very, very simple. My very ever first match when I was 7 years old, 1977, Wolves away. I've said it many a time. That will always be my favourite. Closely followed by 1979 when Sammy McIlroy got the equaliser in the FA Cup final, and then fucking Sunday.
5-minute final was worse.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I was up in arms. My first ever football strip, Man United Admiral, back in '78, I think it was. I could go on for absolutely ever. When I scalped a ticket in 1988, stood in the cop with my mate, and I was the only a couple of United fans, and Robbo scored after about 30 seconds, something like that, and I fucking was just about to jump up, and I realised where I was. Also, I've done. I've been the only United fan on a coach full of Scousers, going to watch Man United Liverpool,
and he's still alive.
I've fucking done it all.
The hardest United fan on the planet.
Too fucking right. I've done it all. Honestly, when it comes to football, and following United, I've been there and I've seen it and I've done it. So, and I'm quite pleased about that.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons when I mentioned this show idea to Keane, I did say that it would be great to get Stu on purely because he has literally been there and seen it all when it comes to match go and support, and it's brilliant. Reece, what would you go for, my man? Also, actually, I'm going to ask you first, what would your mode of transport be? I didn't ask the others, but what would you choose?
Oh, TARDIS, easy.
Amen.
Go on. Would be
where are you heading in your TARDIS? Time machine Segway?
Yeah.
Have you been to Benidorm? Let's not go down that route. Go on, Reece.
I don't think I would fit in. That is true, Keane. I did go to the United Liverpool FA Cup game back in March. That was fucking deadly. But no, I would absolutely go back to a very specific date. May 11th, 2003. Man United 2, Everton 1. The last game of Mr. David Beckham, of course, because that broke me in half. So, yeah, I would absolutely go back just to watch that moment one more time. Absolutely, I would go back. And then I'd fast forward and I'd go and watch Man United beat Chelsea in Moscow.
Yeah. Well, no, agreed. But, a bit closer to home would be the Mkhitaryan scorpion kick. And then 2 weeks later, that toss of Giroud. I was in the stadium, me and my lad. In the stadium when the scorpion kick come on. Falcao scoring a couple against.
If I could go back even further, to see a moment I've watched back on TV, but it's not United related, it's Scotland, I would go back and watch Scotland versus Holland at the '78 World Cup.
Oh, Archie Gemmill. Yeah.
100%. I'd go. That's something I would go and I would 100% if I could go back and watch something like that.
So 78
unreal.
World Cup. I think was that 70? No, it might have been.
That was Argentina during the dictatorship. That's
Oh,
the
look,
Kempis final. The Kempis final.
Look,
Unbelievable.
78 was when I hate to say it, but I fell in love with the Argentina strip. Mario Kempes was absolutely fucking amazing. He was just
Argentina's best team, and I will take that to the grave.
Yeah,
my own grave.
Very young Ardiles.
And no Maradona. That's what made that team even more special.
He was floating around. He was
Never
a lot
been-
younger,
never-
obviously.
He was controversially picked as well for that tournament. No, I've watched that final like 4 or 5 times alone on YouTube.
Big Holland one,
Yeah, I've watched that final numerous times, and it's great. There is another moment I would consider. It's Holiday 2014 World Cup, and I was sitting beside. Fun enough, it was back-to-back games, and I've told this story plenty of times. I sat with this shirt on. 2 seconds.
No, just going into the wardrobe.
Yep, because it's just genuinely funny what happened that day.
God knows what's
And
in there.
I'm surprised I lived that day as well. Where is
Have we
it?
got any elevator music while we wait?
No, I sat amongst Brazilians with that on.
Ah, well, there you go.
And then in the final, beside Argentina fans, I sat with a jersey with Mr. Mario Götze on the back.
Bloody hell.
Unbelievable.
And not going to lie, it felt good getting a couple of drinks bought for me by Argentinians after that.
I would imagine.
How
By the
lovely.
way, the 78 World Cup yielded the greatest football of all time as well. The Adidas Tango. Nobody can ever remove that greatest ball ever.
To be fair, also, if I believe it gave the greatest, actually, no, one of the greatest moments of cheating in football. Argentina versus Peru, I believe.
Yes.
Argentina won 6-0. They had to better Brazil's score to reach the final. The goalkeeper was born in Argentina for Peru.
He was indeed. And I think that might have been the year of I think that might have been old Vince Solaire's year, that 78.
It was. And obviously the second form of cheating, 82 World Cup. Underrated Algeria team cheated by Germany and Austria.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I had to bring that up for the pure entertainment of pure cheating because they went and won the Euros. But
but
that Argentina team, that Algeria team got shafted, but that Argentina team in 78 is beautiful.
My first World Cup. That was my first memory of a World Cup, 1978, and Arsenal, Argentina were just immense. It was amazing. Ticker tape, proper football, proper old school World Cup footy boots, Copa Mundials. Proper boots, proper black boots, proper shin pads, proper
End of Holland as well as a World Cup threat.
And no poses.
That's no
poses at all, Marc. Well, I don't know. Luque and Kempes had flowing locks.
I think the thing what I would do is I would probably take VAR with me and I would go back to the Maradona handball.
See, I thought you were going to say.
That's a good one.
You might want to have.
I was expecting you to say 2010. I was expecting you to say 2010 Lampard.
As much as I agree with that, I still think Shilton should have knocked his head off.
I'm surprised that Shilton got out jumped by a midget.
Shilton's
what, 6'5"?
It's only because his arm was about 2 feet above his head.
Yeah, I know.
Bastard.
I'd have fucking spine busted the fucker. Like, end of story.
Because that's the only opportunity.
Down.
Us as England supporters, we always say that these opportunities have come along and we've missed out, and we could have gone on. That's the year I think probably most likely
get one.
We would have
gone on. Come on,
won that one.
I mean, come on, you did get one on home.
The 2010, you could quite easily say if that goal was counted for Lampard, there's still no guarantee we would have gone on and won that tournament with the teams that we had left around us.
Even just that game, even just the performance you had in that tournament alone. I'm surprised you got the groups that year, and that was because I was shocked.
Yeah, exactly.
Biggest injustice was not taking Theo Walcott to that tournament for you, in my opinion. Besides the shitty football that ruined the tournament for everybody, but how Theo Walcott did not go to that World Cup baffles me.
Wow, there we go. Anyway, gents, I really enjoyed that. Really did. We're probably going to start wrapping up now. Before we wrap up, I'm going to give everyone that's watching a chance to see a preview into the next show. I haven't told Stu this yet, But Stu, I want you to imagine you've got about 10, 20 seconds to think about it. It's a mid-March, April time. You see a player go onto the pitch with gloves on. Tell me how you feel at that particular moment. This is a preview into the next future of football show.
So
I'm going to do exactly what Marc just did.
Yeah, so I've had experience of players wearing gloves and players wearing tights, and I'll tell you a very, very brief story. And this is for the mighty Tipton Town, let alone Anthony Marshall walking on with mittens on. So we had this player come in for training, and we're in our changing room, and he comes in. And he's got his kit and he starts stripping off, and we're all having a bit of a bubble over whatever. And out of the corner of my eye, I catch him putting on tights. And I'm like, well, just carry on getting my stuff ready. And I'm looking at him, and he's like tying these fucking tights up. And I think, oh, maybe he's got dodgy hamstring or something. Carry on. And then next thing you know, he's putting on fucking shorts, socks, boots, and his top. And he's walked outside. And he's not a bad player, but not a brilliant player. And I kind of like said to him, I said, you got a hamstring problem? He said, oh, no, my legs are cold. I said, oh, fuck off back in the changing room, mate. He says, what? I said, get those fucking tights off. I don't want you anywhere near the fucking club if you're going to wear tights. And he fucked off in the changing room and came out with any tights on. I can't abide tights, snoods, gloves, long sleeve shirts, anything like that. Just fucking play football. Because if you walk out and you've got gloves on and you're cold and you're fucking doing all this, you're not playing hard enough, or you're not expecting to play hard enough. So the only one I would accept is Marc, because he's, I don't want to upset his.
Well, that's fortunate. That's fortunate, and I appreciate that, because I was about to say, if we ever turn up for a little kick around, I'm wearing all of those pieces of attire. And we'll see.
Please wear a fake ponytail as well, because I could have the full Monty.
Say no more.
On that note, gentlemen, before we get too much into arguing,
I will tell you something very, very quickly, and it is very, very quick. I have been playing against somebody with gloves as well, back when I was 26, 27. When I was walking past him, I ripped one of his gloves off and chucked it away.
To be fair, can we make an argument? Ronaldinho and Kaká made gloves look cool when they played football.
Well, it's only because of their ability. It wasn't because of the gloves.
But they made it look cool. They made it look cool to wear gloves. Martial makes look gloves because you're a wimp.
And that is what we're all going to talk about in the next Future of Football show. It's going to be based around the players, and we can't wait for that. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I've been Nathan. Marc, where can we find you? What you up to, and what you got planned for your weekend?
A few bits and pieces, I guess. I'm sorry, stumped there. I've got a few bits and pieces. Nothing exciting. You can catch me on Twitter, of course. Not really too regular on there these days, but I'll be back on again. Obviously, we've got new season just around the corner. Probably starting match reviews again. I'll be having the usual, I'm sure, on there. I'm sure Stu will be with me quite often. I hope everyone's enjoyed it today. It's been a nice, refreshing couple of topics, and well done, Nathan. I thought you were excellent, mate.
No, I really.
Sorry, that was my fault. That's my fault.
Reece, I know what you've got planned this weekend. Why don't you tell us anyway what you got planned for this weekend and where can
so I'm fine. I'm finally cleared, so I'm kind of happy. I'm back playing football tomorrow for the first time in 5 years. So I'm playing football tomorrow because my back would not allow me to do anything. So I'm doing that tomorrow, 12 till 5. I'm going to be fucking ruined. Out driving my car in the evening, and then literally streaming all weekend for SummerSlam. Like my channel's obviously pretty much doing that all weekend. So I'll be buzzing. If anyone's into wrestling wants to join me for the weekend, by all means, like, invites are allowed. Keen, you can, but I'm not talking Soul Sokoa. I'll punch you. But apart from that, like, all around, like, just good to be back on. It's been a while, and I concur. Like, really good hosting, mate. You've done really well. It's a good laugh, and I enjoyed it just for having me. It's nice to be amongst posers.
No, I really appreciate it.
Takes one to know one, Reece.
Yeah. We're all good. That's all that matters. Stu, what are you up to this weekend, and where can we find you, mate?
Well, you can abuse me at Anthony Woolley on Twitter if you wish. Tomorrow afternoon we got a friendly match, so the Zimmer frame will be coming out. The coppers, no, I won't be wearing coppers tomorrow. Actually, I've got a new pair of.
He'll be wearing tights.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah, no, I've got a new pair of Preds because we've got it's on 4G, so I've got these new Preds that have.
Good man. The only acceptable choice apart from Monday Owls. Good man.
Well, Monday Owls, and actually, if you caught Cal's show, I did a bit of a rundown on all my footy boots,
and we'll be talking about that in the next Future of Football.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, we can do that.
There you go. Home Stu.
So we've got a friendly match, and I am Tipton Town skipper this year for some reason. Don't know why, because I never.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's strange, isn't it?
Well, I said to the gaffer, Stu, will you skipper the team this year? I was like, I don't fucking pay attention to the skipper anyway. You know.
So that's you fucked. That's you fucked already.
I was going to say maybe that's the point, Stu. Maybe he knows you feel that way. So
yeah, exactly.
I'll
give it to you because you don't listen to any fucker else. So yeah, I've got that. Yeah, just chilling.
He's done a cliff on you. He's done a cliff on you. He doesn't give a fuck you. He's played a ball at you. You just be captain. I'm not going to listen to you at the end of the day. That's you. You're Tipton Cliff's bitch.
I'm going to go out and get a big fuck off bright coloured skipper's armband just to be a wanker.
Oh please, please, just for the banner, and then just post it on Twitter.
Yeah, just to be a tosser.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
You don't need an armband for that. But anyway.
That's it. No, thank you. I really appreciate your time again, gents. You can find me at Nate Dales on Twitter. I don't do much, but you're more than welcome. And like and subscribe and share the show, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, everyone.